Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday morning interview. This is Dave Savage. I am out of Las Vegas today. I'm at the Ellie Mae Experience event, just coming off a weekend. I've been here since Thursday. My son was in a lacrosse tournament, and his team, Portlandia, won the championship. So shout out to the Portlandia lacrosse team. Anyways, today we have a fantastic call. I'm really fired up about it. I'm fired up for a couple reasons. You know, I've interviewed Glenn Bill multiple times, although, you know, when I say I've interviewed him, I've brought Glenn in, he's provided a keynote. Sometimes we've had more, call it unplugged interactions than others, but today it's just pure, raw, unplugged. You know, I put a Facebook post up last week asking for questions. Between the, I think, 8 to 10 comments that I got in Facebook, plus probably another dozen private messages that I got, we got a lot of conversation to have with Glenn Bill. So Glenn, welcome to the call, my friend.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you having me again. And boy, I got to see some of the posts, and the questions were extremely insightful, and I think, you know, are going to hopefully benefit everybody that's listening in. I really have no prepared answers. You told me to come unplugged, so I hope I impress. I hope I'm thoughtful. I hope I give our mortgage coach friends insight into what we teach, and I'm really looking forward to engaging and tackling some of these very thought-provoking questions that I've seen so far, and I'm not even sure which ones you're going to ask me, so you just tell me what you're doing. We're here.
All right. Well, couple just reminders for folks, and we'll get into the interview. I'm going to have Daniel Harkavy next Tuesday. He's releasing his new book called Living Forward, A Proven Plan to Stop Drifting and give life what you want. Anyways, it's going to be awesome. So don't miss next Tuesday's call. Every Wednesday, we're going deep on mobile. Hopefully you'll be here this coming Wednesday. I do want to remind everybody this call is recorded, so you can share this to your realtors. You can share this to other peers in your office. For all you managers and leaders, this is an asset. Also, you know, Glenn, in addition to being a, you know, just a top 1% realtor, he's also a speaker, trainer, mentor, and what he has to share, you know, I met Glenn as the keynote speaker at the Fairway Sales Rally multiple years, and so he's just a fantastic motivator and speaker. So this call is recorded, and hopefully some of you will want to hire Glenn. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hopefully everybody on this call, you are mortgage coaches. That means you have mobile apps. You turn your mobile device into a strategic teaching tool, into a strategic selling tool. Hopefully these are installed and you know how to use them and you know how to leverage them. I want to remind everybody that we're putting new content into the video part of it. So Kristen Messerly has been creating her Millennial Insights. We've got Coach Bill Hart that's got some pretty cool, unique content coming out. And of course, everybody knows Dan Rawich. Every morning, the guy just nets out what's happening in the market with pure authenticity and pretty darn accurate. I mean, there's not a better market update than what Dan does. And who knows, maybe we can get, you know, Realtor Glenn Bill to create some cool videos for us in the future and bring more insight into the market. So let's get into this unplugged interview, Glenn. So again, I do want to remind everybody, Glenn is a top realtor working in the market today, every day, every week, just grinding it out. And he's also a trainer, a speaker, and a tremendous motivator. Glenn, for anybody who hasn't heard you, could you just remind us what market you're in, a little bit about your real estate practice, and then we'll get into the questions.
Sure. Dave, I'm in the Indianapolis market. I've been selling homes for 27 years. I started the business when I was 19, purchased a franchise at 23, built that franchise and sold it when I was 37 as one of the top national franchise mergers that occurred that year in 2007. So I've been a top broker owner. I've been a top team member. I continue to have a team. We bust about, you know, 100 to 150 homes a year, depending on the year. I was most proud that in 2008, in the market decline, we hit 238 sales, understanding the concepts of Who Moved My Cheese. And I wrote an international best-selling book on Amazon last year as well, ABCs of Attitude. I have a company called the University of Attitude. But my real estate-wise, we're doing about 100 to 150 deals a year on average. It comes out to be about 110, and I'm doing that basically on a part-time basis as I'm traveling the nation training real estate agents with our source of sales program and training loan originators with our purchase mentality program, finding a way to target, approach, engage, and close realtors for more mortgage business. So with all that said and done, that's the experience that you're going to draw from as we go through these questions. And my passion is to help your people create better relationships and get more loans with agents. And it's also to change the world one attitude at a time with our book, The ABCs of Attitude.
Love it. So a lot to be had there, folks. Marcy, if you could put a link to Glenn's online resources in chat. Folks, I will try to bring in some questions so that this is just, it's not just these prepared questions. Remember, these all just came in from clients. You know, Craig Strent, who's one of the top 100 loan officers in the country, who's, you know, CEO of a, you know, 20-plus loan officer group in Washington, D.C., you know, just a complete stud all in his own right. This first question came from him. You know, again, he puts this in our Facebook page. Ask Glenn what he likes best about his go-to loan officer. So we're going to kick it off with just, I think, a softball. Hopefully we gain something from it. And again, folks, feel free to add some questions in the GoToMeeting control panel. I'll try to bring those in as we go. So Glenn, what do you like best?
Well, it's something that you know, I talk about all the time, and what I like best is probably what Craig has the hardest time doing, and that is what I call immediacy, the philosophy and the mindset of immediate response or immediate engagement. And you know, I know a lot of the top-end loan originators that I coach and train, they say, Glenn, I can't respond immediately. But the bottom line is real estate agents, the market is so fast-moving, and it is so demanding on a buyer and a realtor that if there's not a way to create immediacy, in other words, if I call, I need you to pick the phone up. And if you're not picking it up, even if you're my favorite, I may have to go to somebody who will. So it's a very, very tough paradox because the more successful you get, the less immediately you can help. But it's the loan originators who have found out to either pick up their phone and give you a minute, because usually that's all a top agent needs is 1 minute with a loan originator before they go in to write a deal. It's those guys that are figuring that out who are doing more loans. We've talked about the secret to market dominance before. The secret to market dominance is my ability to meet a realtor, if I'm an LO, spend the littlest amount of time with them in order to get their business. And so, you know, quality and quantity of time is becoming less and less more important, but immediacy and the power or impact of the couple minutes you can give your person, in my opinion, becomes more. So the number one thing that I like most about my go-to loan originator is if I call, he picks up my phone. That's the number one thing. Could be easy, and Dave, I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I think everybody, whenever I've interviewed top producers, the way they communicate is a winning way, you know, and obviously the more successful they get, the more they need to lean on team to drive some of that communication, and the more successful they are, they need to have proactive systems and rhythms of how they provide updates, so there's less reactive updates. I mean, you can never get away from, hey, realtor has a question, there's a hot potato, you got to be there. But you can reduce some of that with proactive updating. So, you know, I've heard that before, and if anybody wants to chime in chat, or go a little deeper on that, throw it in. But I think you set the table well. So this one comes in from Robert Wilson Ring. I like the way Robert throws in Wilson. But Robert Ring is a millennial. He's an up-and-comer with a great platform, one of our partners, Skyline Mortgage. And he said, what are his thoughts on bringing a top loan officer to listing appointments with him in case financing questions arise, which may determine the potential seller's ability to sell, if that also depends on her ability to rebuy. So anyway, just netting it out, what are your thoughts about having, a finance partner as your wingman or wingwoman at a listing appointment?
Well, I think the first two questions are very good questions. Both are somewhat, well, I actually read Craig's a little bit differently about posting. I didn't know if that's what he meant, but this is a little bit of assumptive. Let me just start by saying this. Under no circumstances would I want a loan originator at one of my listing appointments. I think the question is novel. I think it's valid, but when I am there to get a listing, I need absolutely zero distractions, and I need zero conversation about anything other than listing the home. For a beginner agent, it may make sense to have a loan originator there, but I think it's confusing for the seller. I think it's too much information. I think instead of maybe suggesting, Robert, that you come along I think if you ask an agent to go on a listing presentations, you may actually offend the listing agent, number one. So I would suggest maybe not doing that. But maybe there's an opportunity to create a second meeting or a follow-up meeting and say, after we list your home, I'd like to sit down with you for another 20 minutes with my loan originator and talk about their ability to rebuy. Ultimately, if I'm at a listing presentation, I've already introduced my loan originator to my client. I'm on a webinar. So that's kind of, I guess, how I would say it. My gut is no, I would not want you there, and I'll bring you in, at a certain time. But I do admire the question and his ability and willing to help. But I think that probably would not go over well with most real estate agents.
Yeah. Well, remember, one, Robert's a millennial, so he wants to be an educator and informer, and he is, relatively new into business, so he's also probably talking to a number of less, just complete 1% realtors. And Robert and anybody else, I think the question here is, and I do agree, most, top realtors, just call it top producers, no, they've got a very formal process. They crush it. That's why they're top performers. They have a great way to, run a listing appointment. I do recommend the Gaylord Hanson team, who I've interviewed a number of times, just a complete badass team in the San Diego market that has figured out how to do over 500 transactions annually. So they've really got an engine. They know how to communicate. They know how to drive processes, and they also know how to get integrated into a top realtor sales process in a way that top realtor sees value in. So, I think, instead of thinking about, especially when dealing with complete badass realtors, what's this one move I can run with all of them? It's to come up with tailored ways based off of their systems, based off of how they do listing appointments, based off of their unique market characteristics, how you can be integrated more strategically. Because at the end of the day, Robert, that's what you're saying here. I want to be integrated. Put me in the game. I'll come to the Super Bowl with you. But you know what? It's all about really finding a way to integrate into that proven process. And remember, this interview, we're interviewing a top 1%er. So if we were interviewing someone that was struggling or someone that was kind of in their first year or two in their career, you may get a different answer to that. So Glenn, anything else before we move on to the next question?
Oh, let's keep rolling.
Let's rock. So, hey Dave, ask Lynn what type of support successful realtor value from most lending partners other than timely pre-approvals, effective communications, and closing on time. So I don't know if I read that awkwardly or it was written awkwardly, but I think you get the gist of it, Glenn. And how would you respond?
Well, I think a couple things come to mind when we talk about support. Yeah, certainly the three that you mentioned are a given. So let's get outside the box a little bit. One thing I think is really smart for loan originators to do is promote your realtors. And that could be promoting those realtors on social media and by posting, saying what rock stars they are, liking what they're doing, sharing whatever posts they have. I think, it's free, it's easy. When we talk about the purchase mentality seminars that we do, target those 10 realtors you want to have business with and stalk them on social media and share them, like them, and promote them. The other things that I really like support-wise are these are for like team members or whatever, or bringing myself to a marketplace. Educational opportunities are huge. So loan originators that we've found that partner with me coming to a market to educate realtors with raw and real training, not something that doesn't matter. That's of value. I have team members. There's 4 or 5 of them. If you can take my 2 or 3 team members and educate them to help them list more and sell more, that's great. Obviously, the referral of buy owners and expires or just sphere of influence people, another great way to just enhance my business. I've always said if I was a loan originator, the first thing I would do, all I would do, would be call buy owners every single day, get them engaged with me, get ahead of the transaction, and create leads and listing leads for my real estate partners. So, those would be 3 ideas that you can do and support. Obviously, we love gifts. We love personal time. I just had a loan originator take me out, to the suite of a Pacer game and introduce me to the president of a bank. So, in terms of networking, maybe it's not enhancing my business as somebody that I can, take as a buyer or a seller, but introducing me to influential people in the marketplace whom could also refer me. And so, like I said, I went to a Indiana Pacer game, was at the suite with a lender, and he introduced me to 4 or 5 people that were movers and shakers in not just the real estate industry, but other industries, and allowed me to expand my influence. So, 4, I think, really, really good ways to create impact and support the realtors that you're trying to impress, and I believe that they would be reciprocal doing the same for you.
Love it. So I've got a couple, first of all, I've got a number of great questions that have come in from the audience. I'm going to throw one of them in here.
Cool.
Before we go off this particular topic, I just do want to remind everybody, you're a mortgage coach. So your ability to create urgency, whether it's for a first-time home buyer with a rent versus own, whether it's with a move-up buyer with a why buy now analysis, your ability to not just be a pre-qual loan officer, but to be someone that creates urgency so that your realtor really sees you as, hey, I've got a family that's looking to sell or buy, and I know if I refer them to Dave, Dave's going to net it out, and they're going to buy faster. They're going to want to do business with me more because of the way that you communicate, because of the way that you deliver numbers, and the way that you help them build wealth with real estate. I mean, at the end of the day, you are a mortgage professional. Every time you touch a family, you help them understand how they can build wealth with real estate and the number side of things. Realtors like that kind of thing. And again, I just can't help but put an exclamation mark around what Glenn talked about in terms of networking and being that connector in your market. I think I got that. I wrote that down as a takeaway. Thank you, Glenn. So Bradley threw a question in here. Bradley, I think this is a fantastic question. I'm going to ask Glenn. Can't wait to hear how he answers it. But Glenn, curious how I could get my realtor partner to use me and only me, not sending 15, I think he's exaggerating, probably means 3 different loan officers to prospect to pick me. So hopefully you get the gist of this. What wisdom do you have to share?
Right. Well, thanks, Bradley. Great question. Again, it's what everybody wants to know, right? If I had a pill or if I could sell this answer, I would be a gazillionaire. And what I'll do is answer it from the perspective of me. There are some real estate agents who just will not only refer one loan originator, period, right? I mean, that's just not going to happen. But let's talk about how I could get my realtor partners to use me and only me. And I think, the first thing you have to do is expect it. In other words, people do what they're expected to do. You do what you're expected to do, and other people do what they're expected to do. So obviously, to tell a realtor, I expect you to refer me and only me, you better have some form of a really strong bond, trust, and relationship. But number one, I love the goal. You know what? Don't quote anyone else. And I think as a real estate agent, if I had a LO go, hey man, look it, don't be giving them a bunch of different people, just give them me. It's more of a byproduct out of your expectation than anything else. So I think the number one most important thing you could do is if you truly want to be the only person a realtor refers, is number one, expect it. Number two, ask them. And then number three, provide value. And my definition on value is this. It's what you do for a realtor on behalf of the realtor before you ask him to use no one else. And so my question goes back to you. What are you doing for your realtor on behalf of your realtor before you even ask for a deal? And that's, when I teach loan originators, we have 20 things you can do for a realtor on behalf of a realtor before you ask to be the exclusive guy. But number one, I love the goal. Number two, I'm not sure it's really realistic, but I certainly have only referred one loan originator on many transactions over the 27 years I've done it. And the reason I've done it is because I feel like I owe the loan originator loyalty. I feel like I need to pay the loan originator back for something he gave me without even asking me for the business. And so, without dancing around it, the question is, what are you doing for those 5 real estate agents that's going to make them feel like, man, they owe me? And that's a tough question. It's a tough question to get through. But when you can get somebody to the space, in their mind and in their heart where they feel like, I really owe it to this guy, that's when you get the non-competitive referral and the opportunity to just walk in and make it happen. And then just to finish that thought, once you get to that level with an agent, and that's what I call a level 10 relationship, then you can't screw it up, because realtors are the most unloyal creatures that walk the planet, as I'm sure most of you know. So obviously, you got to deliver every single time. I have had runs with loan originators for, I'm telling you, periods of 2, 3, 4 years where they were my only loan originator. They had no competition or whatever, and then boom, processor leaves, underwriter leaves. You can feel when the support staff of the company you're with is crumbling, so can agents, and then bam, they're on to the next one. So I hope I gave you a couple takeaways, but it's about developing that level 10 relationship with the agent and making them feel like I owe my loan originator.
Love it. And so rather than add on any perspective from my part, I do want to recommend 2 interviews that I've done that I think just knock it out of the park. when it comes to really creating a partnership where you are the number one loan officer. And the call I did with the Gaylord Hanson team, 5 strategies to maximize your realtor partners. I mean, I just think that's a required training for every mortgage coach. I don't care what level you are in the business, whether you're already doing 400 loans, 500 loans a year, or whether you're struggling to do over 5 a month. That call is a must. And then the call I did this kick off the new year with Wally Elderberry, where it's how to turn leadership into a competitive advantage. I just can't emphasize what a powerful message that is. If your goal is to going and being the number one partner to a realtor, two great places to spend a couple hours of your time. And I have put links to those in chat. So I did another one ad hoc, grabbed it from the audience. So audience, I am when I'm not talking and I'm listening to Glenn, I am in pure ADD fashion, I am multitasking and looking for great questions from you guys. And this good one came in from David Schwab, longtime mortgage coach. Hey, Dave, just a stud mortgage coach out there in the marketplace. He wants to know, Glenn, as a top realtor, what do you think about joint marketing with your loan officer? What's your commentary around that?
Well, I can tell you that I really do know joint marketing with my loan originators. The loan rate, and I shouldn't say that, mine's a little bit different in that I'm a speaker and a trainer and an author. So a lot of the marketing I do from my loan originators helps me get on stage in front of mortgage people. But with that said, I think when you look at what joint marketing is, let's take it away from Zillow, let's take it away from Trulia, let's take it away from a radio ad or open house flyers or whatever. The question is there an area of my realtor's life that is very important to him or her? And I think the opportunity that creates the level 10 relationship or the trust or the bond is to try maybe to help the realtor partner outside of real estate. It could be that their kids are, highly involved in lacrosse or some sport or some, the arts. It could be that your realtor has a teenage son who needs an internship. When I think about joint marketing with realtors, what I would encourage you to do is get outside the box and say, because the bottom line is I don't have a loan originator that helps me with marketing myself. I market myself just fine. I got plenty of business, yada, yada. Now, with a young agent or a newer agent, I think that helps. But agents come in all different sizes. I always say there's 4 different levels of agents. There's your new agent, your fairly productive agent, your productive agent, and your superstar. And Dave, if people go ahead.
Time out. Would you define those a little bit more in terms of unit or how you would define those categories real quick?
Sure. And Dave, I think the first or second keynote I did for you on Mortgage Coach goes through the 4 types of agents, the approaches on the 4 types of agents, how to engage those 4 types of agents, and how to close them. But, a new agent is going to be in their first 1 to 2 years, and they're doing 12 deals or less. What I would call a producing agent is an agent that's doing 12 to 24 deals a year. And then we have what I would call a successful agent, which is a 24 to 48 transaction per year agent. And then, I believe anybody that's doing 52 homes a year, which is, 1 home a week, right? And let's face it, there's not a lot of agents that do 52 deals a year. Those are what I would call, I would call them a superstar, if you would. And then, mega agents are 100+ deals a year. And then obviously you have, there's teams and people that do the 300 deals a year, but those are few and far between. But when you go to any market, I think you're going to be looking at, the majority of agents out there doing 1 to 12, 12 to 24, 24 to 48, and then 52 or more. And that's how I say, and it's good to have one at every level. But, what really productive agents want compared to newer agents, they're two totally different things. And you can't approach a 52 transaction a year agent the same as you approach a guy that has 8 transactions, because it won't work. And so you need to be smart about where are you in your career, how can I help you get to the next level, whether it's through marketing or training. And, obviously you can ask them what's important. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that takes your folks a little bit outside the box. How cool would it be for the people listening today to think of their 3 top agents and create or brainstorm a way that you can say, hey, I have a new marketing idea, and the goal of the agent should be this: wow, no one has ever done that for me before. When I train loan originators on how to engage a real estate agent, you're doing a good job when a real estate agent looks at you and goes, oh my gosh, nobody's ever asked me that before. Well, my hope for you is that you'll take 10 minutes after our time today and call your top 3 agents and give them a joint marketing proposition that may have nothing to do with real estate, and have them go, oh my God, nobody's ever offered to do that before. Nobody's ever approached me with that idea before. You'll be amazed. You start getting agents to say you're doing things no one else has ever done before, you'll be amazed at the loyalty and the business that will come your way. They will be attracted to you. They'll be contagious. You'll be contagious to them. And everybody will always want a new idea. And I've seen this in practice. I've seen it work. And everybody always wants the new, fresh thing. So hopefully, Dave, that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, well, my biggest takeaway was just this concept of having a relationship, understanding what their goals are, understanding their real estate practice and how they grow, and then being a member of the team that they believe can help them go to the next level. And that's really what it comes down to. And by the way, do you even know what the next level is for the agency you're serving today? When I want everybody on this call, think of who are your top 3 realtors. How many transactions did they close last year? How many do they want to close this next year? And what is their approach to going to the next level, and what does next level mean? And by the way, if you don't know the answer to those questions, like boom, 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 well, there's your biggest problem. You're not really, you're not being real with those people, and you're not understanding what their goals are, and then really working hard on how can you be an indispensable partner to help them achieve those goals and go to the next level. So I do want to remind everybody, I've interviewed Glenn more times than I actually remember. Here's a call that we did, what do realtors think about loan officer marketing? I really like this one. It's been viewed almost 1,000 times, Bill. I don't know if you knew that.
Right.
How do you get meetings? Yeah, that was last year. How to get meetings with realtors, almost 500 times. So folks, if you just go to our YouTube page, type in Glenn Bill, and, we just added another beautiful, we're 34 minutes into this call, and if I hung up the phone right now and we ended it, I would feel like, hey, we crushed it for the community, Glenn. So you're on a roll, brother. You're on a roll.
I love it.
The feedback has been great. The feedback in the questions has been just fantastic. Bradley, his exact words were, Glenn's response was worth gold to me. Thank you. So you're adding a lot of value, brother.
Cool, man.
So Rick Shearer is just a complete badass mortgage professional on the East Coast. He's been using Mortgage Coach, I think, from the day I started the company. Rick, thank you for being such a great leader. I do believe Rick is one of the top 100 loan officers in the country. I know he's top 1% for sure. So here's a couple
Dave?
Professionals done for him in the business that helped him move the needle. I love that. If no one has done anything for him, what does he wish a mortgage professional would do for him? And I'm not, and I'm not talking about doing a good job with his clients. So Glenn, how do you answer that?
Okay, which one? Because you went out and then my screen blinked. Which one are we on? Number 1, 2, or 3?
Number 1.
Right.
There
Okay, I love it.
Highlander.
His business has helped him move the needle. Studying for him, what does he wish more would do for him? So, I will kind of go back to my answer on number 1, which is very simple and everybody knows. Has a mortgage professional done anything to help me move the needle? In terms of listings and sales, it's on me it's on me to move the needle for listings and sales. So I wouldn't necessarily say that there was anything any one person did per se. I will tell you that when I was a new agent 27 years ago, there were loan originators and mortgage companies that would bring in great trainers to the marketplace. I'm a big believer that, belly-to-belly training, total immersion training is the way to go. So if there was one thing somebody did is they brought in the Tom Hopkins of the world, the Joe Stumps were some of the stuff we used to listen to, Floyd Wickman, and a lot of lenders would sponsor speakers to come in and teach us how to sell real estate. So, I think providing real and raw education to the realtors in your marketplace is something that is huge and is something that is tangible for them. It also allows you to sit in a room with the agents and be the hero. So that's the bottom line. If there was something, if no one's done anything, which they really haven't, what would I wish they would do? The bottom line is it's leads. I generate a ton of leads. I think there's a lot, when you look at forming that relationship, and this is not a new idea. As a matter of fact, everything I tell you is probably not new. You've all heard it. The question is, how good are you at it? But certainly lenders who help me organize and drip email campaign all the leads that I have, that is of value. I'm engaged with one lender right now that's working on it. I've talked about hyperlocal websites, and I've talked about the power of rent-to-buy websites, the amount of rental leads out there is just crazy. I listened to Steve Harney's interview last week, and the misinformation and the lack of knowledge regarding how can I buy a home is way high. So, if there's anything a loan originator could do, couple things. Number 1, call every buy owner in the marketplace, get in front and introduce them to me so I don't have to. Number 2, let me forward rental leads to them, disseminate, qualify, and drip email campaign those leads. And then number 4, possibly working on some joint promotion, albeit social media or Zillow, Trulia, or any of the mega websites. So that would be a handful of things that would be sexy for me that would create that loyalty and that bond for a level 10 relationship.
Love it. So I actually had a question come in from a loan officer that said, I have an agent doing 110 homes per year, wants me to help pay for Zillow. What are your thoughts on this? How would you answer that?
Well, it ain't going to hurt you. So if the relationship is working and he's making money, I'd say keep sharing on the Zillow leads. I think, I've known 2 different ways. I'm not sure if the loan originator and the agent control that Zillow space, or if all the leads go to the loan originator and then it goes to the realtor. If you're spending your hard-earned money, or if you're splitting it, I would just say this: make sure you're monitoring and that the agent is being accountable to you for the Zillow leads you're providing, or that promotional. If you're spending money, there should be a tangible number that you and the agent know and that the agent acknowledges because of that program you've gotten this many deals. I've seen loan originators spend money on Zillow, realtors get the leads, realtors are not honest about what that really got them, and the guy that's paying the money is not getting the benefit. So I would just try to make sure there's some mechanism of accountability, that if you are writing checks for Zillow and these types of things, that you know exactly what's coming in, how many leads are done, or you at least have access to that information.
Yeah, and make sure you check with your compliance team.
Yes.
A lot of great accountability can be created just by doing things right. So, make sure you check with the compliance group, and the more accountability you can put into it for yourself and for the client, good compliance is usually just good sales strategy and good leadership. So, Rick had another question here, and I obviously like this one because it's mortgage coachy, but Glenn, you're a big fan, and you study what we do well. You actually refer people to me in your market, which I'm grateful for. But what tips do you have that could share with mortgage coach loan officers that would allow loan officers to take that advice and share it with their realtor partners in order to add value in the business? Any unique tips? I think you may have already answered this question, so this may, one, be a bit of a rehash from the way you just answered it. But does anything else come to mind in this area?
I'm just trying to think. I'm not sure. I'm kind of drawing a blank because I'm not sure what they're asking, and you keep switching the thing. I'm trying to read it here.
Well, let's do this, because I think it's kind of a rehash. As I started to read it myself,
Okay.
it was a bit of a rehash of the last question. So, one, sorry for moving the screen. If anybody in this call wants to make sure I ask this question, or you want to word it a different way, put it into the Q&A. But we've only got about 18 minutes left, and we've still got a number of great questions. I want to make sure we get to them. So this came from a peer, another coach, Coach Mike White, who I've interviewed a number of times, just a fantastic mentor and coach in the industry. Wanted to ask you as a peer a great question. But right now, a lot of conversations hearing about time delays with TRID, how people are dealing with things like the mortgage rocket. So however you want to answer this, the way Mike put it is, what do realtors really think about the rocket mortgage and some of this stuff? But how would you answer this question from Coach Mike White?
Cool. So, rocket mortgage is a fantastic ideal. I'm not sure realtors really believe that it's an ironclad pre-approval. However, my guess is many of the mortgage coach, if not most of the mortgage coach LOs that are on this call, are able to issue quick turnaround pre-approvals. So, here's what I know. I know that 90% of the reason realtors use loan originators is for sales and marketing. Darren Hardy taught me this. Rocket Mortgage is a sales and marketing hook. That's what it is. Now, most realtors don't know that. Most consumers don't know that. And if they can give you a 10-minute pre-approval, then that's super. But when it's all said and done, just because somebody walks in with a Rocket Mortgage 10-minute pre-approval, if I have a relationship, that's probably not going to supersede my relationship. I would say most realtors are probably leery of Rocket Mortgage and their 10-minute pre-approvals. However, Rocket Mortgage does, that is one hell of a sales and marketing technique. So it generates leads, obviously, but I'm not sure that those leads will turn into closings. And I think the people on this call, don't try to be Rocket Mortgage. Try to figure out how you can outsell and out-market Rocket Mortgage with the agents who already know you. There is no bond between Rocket Mortgage and local real estate agents. but there is a bond between you and the local real estate agent. So although it's flashy and gorgeous and it's all over television, there's that disconnect. It's the same thing, with Zillow leads never being accurate. 2 out of 10, seem to be that seems to be the number. 2 or 5 out of 100 seem to be legit. So a lot of clutter in our space. I don't think Rocket Mortgage shouldn't be impacting your business. I don't think you should be losing deals to Rocket Mortgage and what they're doing. But I do think you should take note that people want an easy way to get a loan, and you need to figure out how you can assimilate your sales and marketing message so it's just as easy. I have plenty of loan originators who can turn a pre-approval in 45 minutes. You need to start putting it out there, 45-minute pre-approvals or 30-minute pre-approvals. My guess is most of you have the wherewithal to get things done in 10 minutes. Let me also say this. In regards to sales and marketing, I had a loan originator close a loan for me in 10 days. And do you know what I saw on social media? It's like P.T. Barnum, right? Remember what he said about promotion. Do you know what happens when there is no promotion? He said nothing. If you do an exceptional job, a 10 to 12-day loan in this marketplace, for God's sakes, tell everyone about it. Sell it, market it, and promote it. This loan originator did a phenomenal job, and nobody knew it. So with the sales and marketing message, if you are doing something exemplary that is crushing it, that is doing it in times where TRID's not even an issue, that needs to be your marketing and sales message, not any of the other stuff. Talk about the real results in the short time frames. That is what is irresistible to guys like me.
Love it. Don't be a secret agent. You know the joke when you
Right.
call a realtor who doesn't advertise a secret agent. Don't be one of those. Love it. All right, so this came in from Kristen Messerly. She is a millennial speaker and trainer in our industry, creates some great content. I don't know if you've heard any of her conversations, but she said, what are some of the barriers Glenn has experienced with the shift in consumer culture in the use of technology, and how has he adjusted with the market? Are there ways loan officers can support or partner and create better experiences for today's consumers? And obviously, Mortgage Coach is one strategy. Glenn, how would you answer this question?
So, certainly technology has created a little bit of a shift. The consumer culture is the same as the realtor culture. Everybody wants it now. And I know your people are all well trained on this call. The bottom line is you got to respond within 5 minutes or they're going to the next agent on the Zillow call roll, right? And it's the same thing as the loan originators, and it starts back with the same call. If I call you, you need to answer my phone. If I just can't tell you, I have loan originators that just refuse. They say, Glenn, if you call and I see it's you, I'm not answering. I can't answer the phone because that's not how I'm doing my 300 deals, and if they are, that's fine. But there's all that the consumer culture and the shift in technology has done have given opportunities to those people who aren't as busy as opposed to the mega producer. And so, we've shifted. I have a attitude of immediacy on my team. If I'm not responding, somebody's responding right away. And if it doesn't happen, you're just going to lose the deal. But the good news is if you're a loan originator that's at that 5 to 7 loan per month mark, the opportunities are endless for you because we can't keep up with all the leads that we're getting. And so that gets into contact management software, that gets into Mortgage Coach and what they're doing to help people with their technology challenges. Are there ways LOs can support? Yeah, again, the best way is to call my lead immediately, and or email and or text and or have somebody do it. But this is the conundrum that we've been dealing with all over the nation as top producers. There's only one of us, but people want to talk to us. People that sell and market, people want to do business with a somebody, not a nobody. And if you want to do business with a somebody, sometimes you're just going to have to wait. So I hope that answers your questions somewhat.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, my answer is, every mortgage professional on this call, you need to be a master with how you use your mobile phone. Whether it's talking on the phone, use a headset. When I look at model, Jeremy Forcier and how he can talk to someone in text and then record a mortgage coach video. I mean, the guy is an animal, and so we can help you guys every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Just become a master of using your mobile phone, and you'll have an edge on 90% of the mortgage professionals out there, because most mortgage professionals don't master their tools. They don't master how they use their phone. They don't master how they text. They don't master how they communicate. They don't master how they use Mortgage Coach. It really is just mastering those simple disciplines. So I got an email, this came from Danny. He said, "Hey Dave, I don't Facebook, but he wanted to contribute for today's call. I'm not going to go through all these questions, but this is, a team that helped 537 families in the San Diego market last year. So, to say that this is a successful lending team and platform is an understatement. And so I'm not going to go through all these one by one because we don't have time for that, Glenn. But this was what Danny, I said, hey, what question should I ask Glenn? He kind of shared what he thought were some of the best questions they ask when they meet with a realtor. So why don't you and I just do some commentary on these? It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions. When you read these and, understand the context of how they came from Danny and who he is, what commentary, are there any questions that you think really stand out as better than others, or things that, every loan officer should add to their repertoire?
That's great. Yeah, and these are awesome questions to ask realtors from Dan. So Dan, excellent job. If you want, I will just give very, very brief answers to each one if you're okay. Is that all right? Should we just do it this way?
Bring it.
All right. So when I refer a lead to a lender, what's my biggest fear? Obviously, my biggest fear is they're not going to close on time, period. There is no other fear, and I wouldn't refer them if they didn't. But the bottom line is that's my biggest fear, is that they're going to drop the ball and not close. What's your best experience with a loan officer or lender? What stands out as a reason you felt it was so successful? Very simply, I never hear, believe it or not, the best experience is when I never hear from the lender. They call me 14 days later and say, hey, we're ready to close. So the bottom line is this: having the closing ready to go 7 days before the contract states it. I don't need to hear from the lender all the time. It's nice, but when I have total confidence, when you look at being the only realtor, I never have to check up on the great lenders when it's all said and done. So the best experience is no communication, 14 to 21 day approvals, everything is in line, and that my buyer calls me and tells me how much they love the loan originator, and usually that comes from the loan originator saying they love me. What was your worst experience and what made it so bad? Very simple, very simple. Real estate agents can sniff a bad deal. They can sniff when we're calling to get information and they go, we don't know what's going on, or they lie to you. When you're being lied to. So quite simply, it's, I don't want to say it's no communication, but it's just straight up lying, and when you ask what needs to get in, and then they say it's in, but it's not in. It's mortgage companies that have a chip on their shoulder that don't understand that I'm the customer as much as the borrower. Those are the worst experiences, those who refuse to have accountability. And that's why, as a real estate agent, I put quick time frames on our purchase agreements, and I will move the lender. So I do 30-day time frames. I don't do 45. I put the heat on people that do 30. And if I feel they're not honest, then that gives me the right to send them to a mortgage coach lender. And I move the financings, what I do after 30 days, because if they can't, if they're not closed, it ain't going to happen. Do I refer more than one lender, and why? Yes, I do, because oftentimes I'm asked to refer more than one lender, but oftentimes I only refer one lender. Obviously, there's some ethical and competitive reasons why I would refer more than one lender as well. So certainly I do. Great question to ask a realtor. Your follow-up to that would be, well, then how about referring me? What is the one thing we can partner on that would have an immediate positive impact on your business? Again, it just goes to answering the phone when I call you. That's the one thing that would have the most positive impact on me. If you're going to be my partner, you've got to be accessible when it's all said and done. The refer me deals, certainly that's nice, but I can get my own deals. I don't need you to refer me deals. I just need you to be available and immediately help me. That's the standard I hold myself to. Why do I do 100 transactions a year? If somebody calls in, I respond immediately. And I can't tell you how many deals I get just because I am on top of my business. What part of being a realtor gives you energy? What part takes the most discipline to keep up? Well, the biggest part that gives me energy personally is to list property. I love to go in and do listing presentations. Obviously, helping people get from point A to point B, that's what we do. So I love to give people real, honest answers, and I love to help them make good decisions. That's what this is all about. A great real estate agent can save you tens of thousands of dollars. What part takes the most discipline to keep up? The bottom line is it's follow-up, baby, and it ain't follow-up, it's follow-through. A lot of people follow up, but they never follow through, and following through is simply a discipline. It's just a discipline, just like working out. What are your goals this year? How can we or your lender help meet your goals? We always shoot to do $1 million in commission. That's just what we shoot for. And then, how you can help meet our goals is to just be in constant communication with us, supporting what we do, coming to events that we hold, and most of all, getting our customers closed and creating referrals for our customers. Do I ever ask buyers of your listings to cross-qualify your preferred lender? Absolutely, I do, all the time. I try to get my preferred lender on every deal I can, and I would say I do that every listing I get. So there's the answers.
Pretty darn good answers. So we're running out of time here. I do want to pull up a video on, well, I'll pull it up because I can't talk and pull that up at the same time. But the Gaylord Hanson team did a video on cross-qual and how they generate, like, I want to say 20 leads a week from cross-qual leads. So huge strategy. Make sure everybody pulls it up. I will, while I'm not talking here in a minute, put that into chat for everybody. But why don't we close it out with, we're in the last minute. Glenn, anything we missed, any question we asked you, or anything you want to make sure that we really nail here as we wrap up today's call?
Well, I saw one question that was really cool about how do I go from me to a team, and I just thought it was given to us by Ryan and Stacy Hills.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't get to that.
Yeah. What are the best practices on how to scale our business and grow from an individual to a team? And I know we only have 2 minutes or less.
You could go over, man. Go over. Answer the question.
So I've had one of the top teams in the nation several years. And I think there's just some very simple accountability mechanisms that when you say, hey, I want to go from an individual to a team, I always say this: a team is only as good as its leader, period. And what happens is people start teams for all the wrong reasons. They think, well, I'll start a team and everybody will make me rich. And the truth of the matter is that teams don't necessarily make you rich, and poorly run teams will make you poor and go out of business. So I always say this: if number one, you got to be the superstar on your team. You got to be the leader. In other words, the buck needs to stop with you. If there are mistakes made, you have to take the blame. The reason people make mistakes is because you're not coaching them right. I coached football for 25 years, and we always said you get what you coach. And if you are not willing to take the heat for another person's mistakes, your team is never going to work. The second thing that I always told my assistant as you get into hiring assistants is you have two jobs. Number one, make me look good. And that's real simple. Whenever you're wondering what to do, what not to do, how to handle something, make sure that your number one assistant always says, will this make Glenn look good? Number two, it's about being in front of more people. So if you have an assistant, which should be the first step in growing your team, they need to make you look good, and they need to put you in front of more people and schedule you than ever before. Most team leaders are not very good at scheduling their time. So those are just real simple, top of the surface issues on going from being an individual to a team. But understand, running a team is not as glamorous as it seems. It's at times not as profitable as it seems. And I can assure you that it will require more energy than ever before. But I can tell you that being a part of something bigger than yourself and affecting the lives of other people will generate rewards that are more than financial. They'll generate what I call legacy rewards. I mean, I've started over 300 people in the real estate business, and I don't get paid for them anymore, but it sure is neat when they come back and thank you for getting them started. So I have a whole seminar on teams and how to build them, but those are just some thoughts and highlights. If you're considering going from one to a big team, just some thoughts that you might want to look at. Thank you, Dave. I would love to help anybody that's on this call. I'd love to come to your market and do a seminar and show you how to grow your mortgage business by bringing my source of sales training to your market. All you got to do is just email me or call me, and we can discuss that.
Well, Glenn, it's been a power hour. If everybody, as you leave the call, let us know what you thought of today's call. Did we surpass your expectations with value? If you are a guest and you want to learn more about Mortgage Coach, check the bottom option. But hopefully this has been tremendously valuable. I know I got a lot of takeaways, and I loved every bit of it. So, also remind everybody on this call that we are doing training every single day of the week. Tomorrow is the mobile training, and I do believe that is something that everybody on this call should go through. It's about a 40-minute training. It's a workshop, how to do everything that you can do to create value for realtors and families on a mobile device with a Mortgage Coach app. Also want to remind everybody, next week we have Daniel Harkavy as my Tuesday guest. It's going to be a fantastic call. He's rolling out his new book. But Glenn, as always, I'm grateful. I mean, I really love this call. I think we should do this format again. There's a number of people that put questions in the Q&A that we didn't get to. So we got a lot to work with next time, my friend.
Cool. Well, you're a pioneer in what happens with Mortgage Coach. I've seen it make a world of difference in a lot of loan originators' lives. I know that as a real estate agent, we know that the LOs here in Indianapolis who are on the Mortgage Coach platform always perform at a higher level, always show a higher level of professionalism and care for our clients. And if we could just get everybody in this market on your software, that's why I refer you to every lender I can. It's it just sets you apart, and I know it's worth every penny for the people on these calls.
Well, thanks for the referrals, and appreciate everything you do for our community, friend. Take care,
All
my
right.
friend.
Take care. Thanks, Dave.
Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful day, hopefully on your trainings for the rest of the week. Take care.